live right now. Okay. All right. Hey guys, welcome to today's conversation. I have the lovely Deana and the lovely Tracy with me. Both of them are clients of ours in the Hansen method. We've been working with them for a different amount of time. Tracy just told me it's been 6 months and 6 days, and Deana is a little over 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So Deana, why don't you just take a quick second to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and all of the goodness.
So I'm married and I have 5 children, and the last pregnancy definitely took a huge toll on my body, and I never felt like I never really fully recovered from that. He will be 3 in February, and so I've had constant pain and achiness and inflammation and just did not feel right for over 4 years. And so I finally went to Shannon and I was like, I need help because what I'm doing is not working.
Yeah.
So is that good? What did you want?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And you also run an at-home business.
Oh, I do.
Right?
I run an at-home business. I sell doTERRA on the side. So
yeah,
full time.
Full time on the side of being a full-time mom too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So Tracy, introduce us to who you are.
Well, my name's Tracy. I'm a special needs teacher in Tennessee. My thyroid has been out for 29 years. However, I believe I've had issues my whole life, which exceeds half a century. I think my journey is forever. And when I saw Shannon, she was the most authentic person that I had seen on the internet. And I thought, this is somebody who's going to shoot straight with me and tell me what to do. And Shannon and her team definitely shoot straight. Some a little straighter than the others, but.
Well, if you want the fluffy answer, come to Shannon.
Okay. If you want the straight, no details, no fluff answer, go to Chris.
Yeah.
But I definitely needed the kind of program and encouragement that the Hansen method has offered.
Amazing. So I see a few people are on live. Take a second to say hello to us if you're watching the live, #live, or tell us where you're from. That's super fun. We've got 2 people here from Arizona, and Tracy just told us she's from Tennessee. So tell us where you're from. And I want to make this really interactive. So if you guys have questions for Tracy and Deana, please just type them in, because they have carved out 20-30 minutes of their time, their day, away from their family to add value to you guys. And what really sparked my desire to do this and have this conversation with them was what happened over the holidays. And so if you guys want to just kind of share with them a little bit about your journey. Tracy, I'll have you start a little bit about your journey and then what you decided to do in December, and then, kind of the progression of where you are now and what you discovered about yourself.
Well, it's all mindset. It really is a lot of mindset work. Up until mid-December, I was fairly on track for protocol. And every week I got new challenges, and each challenge seemed to take me just a tad bit further. And I wanted to know if it was real or not. I mean, I knew my body was changing. I'm losing. And I thought, okay, well, I've been good and I have blood work coming up again. So why don't, after this blood work, you just say, okay, let's test it all. Let's test gluten. Let's test dairy. Let's test sugar. Let's test everything. Coffee again. I was testing coffee again, and I love coffee and bacon. Just call me coffee and bacon. And so I was just going to do that. I mean, and I put it all in my journal. And, at first Chris was like, what are you doing? You know, what's going on here? And I needed to know that it was going to make me feel bad. And guess what? It did. It made me feel horrible. So then, even though I didn't go back to protocol 100% for the rest of the holidays, I did watch what I was doing so that I didn't suffer, because nobody wants to suffer. And so
Yes.
it was a mindset thing that, yes, this is real. Now I'm looking at a new protocol based on hair sample analysis, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of this. I just was at the doctor again, and in spite of my everything I was doing, I'm down 5 more pounds. So, you know, the protocol works, but I had to get my mind right. Like, you know, we've talked about choose your hard, and I needed to choose my hard. What's it going to be? And when and then you challenge us to think, where do we want to be in 1 year? Where do we want to be in 5 years? Where do we want to be in 10 years? I'm wearing a 2-piece bathing suit June 1st. I am telling you, that's where I am June 1st. I'm a swimmer. I love to swim. It's going to have 2 pieces. Now, somebody might be blinded by the middle section, but that's okay. I don't care what they think. I'm putting my 2-piece bathing suit on. So this is mindset. It's definitely a mindset journey, but my mind is directly linked to my gut.
For sure. And I know for you, Tracy, weight, it's a bonus, right? That's not your primary goal. What was your primary goal, and what is your primary goal now? Because I think they've changed a little bit. If you're open to sharing.
My primary goal was, I had back pain that was unexplained. I mean, I had been through MRIs, CAT scans, everything, and it was just in my lower back, and no one, not a doctor, anybody could explain it. And so I was starting to think that I was a little bit wonkers, that it would just never go away. And I thought, you know, this has got to be linked. And once I saw your video and realized that everything's linked to hormones, I thought, I just got to get this fixed. And my medication over the course of the last 2 years, my Thyroid has gone from 250 milligrams, and now I'm on 112 milligrams. So, and that, the biggest part of that change has happened in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So my goal is to feel better and be able to move as young as my mother moves. My mother can squat in the garden at age 78 and pick an asparagus and eat it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a squatter. So
I love that.
I mean, you know, I mean, who doesn't want to squat and not have gas and stuff like that? You know, at 78 years old. Hello, I want to be that.
Yes.
So
yeah.
My goals have changed.
I appreciate your honesty here. How quickly did your back pain kind of clear up?
It probably took about 2 or 3 weeks for the back pain to go away. But once the back pain went away, it became more of a mindset journey.
Yeah, for sure. So Deana, let's go over to you. Your journey with us has been a little bit of a shorter time period, but where were you? Well, just explain to people like your journey with us, because you took a little bit different path.
So I originally, about 1.5 years ago, I went to a naturopath doctor, and I was still nursing at the time, so there was very limited things that they could do to help me. And I didn't I hate to say this, but my number one goal was weight loss. I was like, if the weight just goes away, then like I'll feel better and everything will just be better, right? Like that was my thinking. And so and the weight was not going, and I wasn't really feeling better, and I wasn't, like, I was struggling. I had I was low thyroid, kind of. I was on the low end, so they had me on an animal thyroid for a little while there. And then I worked really hard, eating super good and healthy, and they were able to take me off of it. But then it was like I had this phantom pain in my left leg that I had, like Tracy, I had tons of tests done. I did a stress test. They monitored my heart. They looked at my veins, like everything, and they could not find a reason why my leg was hurting. And so finally I was just like, all right, I need somebody to help me, but I don't feel like the naturopath in that aspect where I was going before was what I needed. And I didn't know what to do. And I was super fatigued. Like I was tired all the time, like to get out of bed in the morning, to even take my kids to school. You know, like I said, I have 5 kids, four kids going to 4 different schools. I was just the thought of that. I was exhausted. I was like, oh, okay, I got to get out of bed. Like last minute, I'd throw a robe on or PJs, you know, go take my kids to school in my PJs, just because I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to get up and get dressed. Plus I had an infant. And so it was really hard to want to do anything. I was incredibly fatigued. So at first, when I started with Shannon, I said, I'm going to do the hair analysis, give me a protocol. I'm going to do everything on my own. Because I wanted to, well, we didn't really have the money and I wanted to save money, and I'm mostly motivated to do things on my own. But I found out, even though I am motivated to do it on my own, it is so much easier when you have the people in the Hansen group to like be at your back and to help you and to support you. So it's way easier. But anyway, so I lost about 9 pounds in the first month and a half that I was doing the program that Shannon gave me, first of all. And then I totally went off of it and didn't really do anything with it. And then it was a couple months later that I was like, all right, I feel like crap. I want to feel better. Like, even if the weight doesn't come off, I just want to feel good. I want to be able to run around with my kids, play with my kids, take them to the park and not be incredibly exhausted just sitting on the bench. Like, I want to go push them in the swings and slide down the slides and everything. And so I was like, I know that I need more help than just doing my own stuff. And so I was like, all right, Shannon, I'm ready. Let's do this. And so I actually I've done really well. I did really well through Thanksgiving. I did eat a piece of pumpkin pie because I wanted to, and it was fabulous and I enjoyed it, but I didn't overdo it. So that was good. But at Christmas time, kind of like Tracy, it was a mindset, but I was just like, it's just one day, you know, it'll be okay. Not a big deal. A friend had brought me some toffee, which I love toffee, and she makes the best toffee ever. And so, you know, of course, Christmas morning comes, we have a family tradition that we eat French toast with homemade bread. And so I had made homemade bread, we ate French toast, and all of a sudden, like after a few minutes, I was like, the fog just kind of came over my head and my mind, and I was just like, oh man. But then I saw that toffee sitting there. I was like, I'll just eat it, you know, it'll be okay. I'll have a piece. And so I ate a piece, and then like a headache. I didn't realize that I pretty much lived with headaches for a long time. Like some of them were just dull. They just kind of like, you know, there, I just would work and get through it and not pay attention to it. But I realized how much I had a headache all the time, and I didn't realize it. But when I ate that toffee, it was like within minutes, a headache came, and I was just like, oh my gosh, but it tastes so good. You know, and it was definitely a choice that I made, that I was like, you know what, I'm going to enjoy this toffee. I'm going to deal with the headache. But it was amazing, so amazing that just one food, of course I had the gluten earlier that day too, but just how foods can incredibly affect you. And we don't even realize how much they are affecting us, because it was like living in this pain, fatigue era. And then when I came out of it, I was like, wow, I forgot what it was like to live without pain and fatigue. And it was kind of, I don't know, it was like I realized, wow, food really does affect us in so many ways that it's crazy. I don't know how much else you want, but
no, that's great. So, and maybe like you guys can kind of talk to each other, but what are some of the biggest changes that you've made? Now, a little bit of background, and hopefully this is okay with you, Deana, for me sharing, but you have chosen to eat more of a plant-based diet, right? And
mostly, yeah.
You know, occasionally there's some meat and stuff in there, but mainly you're eating a plant-based diet. And that was something important to you when you started working with us. And we wanted to make sure we were honoring that. So even though I'm going to say you were probably eating pretty clean, right? Eating a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of fiber-based foods, there was still an imbalance. So, and you, either one of you guys can answer this. What has made the biggest impact for you in using food to restore thyroid function and to get to where you are now?
So I can say I was more kind of a junk food vegan because I wasn't, and this program has taught me that I need more of a variety of food, not just the same things, although I get stuck in that rut of wanting to just eat the same thing over and over again, that really in order to give my body the nutrients that it needs, I need to eat a variety of food, and I need to change it up so that my body gets those different nutrients from the different foods. That's been the biggest eye opener for me, saying, you know, that I need to eat all across the board, you know, all the different colors of the rainbow in vegetables.
Yeah. Tracy, what about you? What has made the biggest impact, do you feel like, for your diet and not diet, your lifestyle?
Yeah, my lifestyle. I think there are a couple of things, and one of them was not easy. I'll just say that it was giving up my coffee. That was probably the most difficult thing that I've done. But I think what it taught me was I'm in control of me. And every piece of food I put in my mouth is my choice. So I think that even though it was a gradual process, and then the challenge came where it was like, okay, because I mean, I went through withdrawing the creamer as well. I was drinking heavy whipping cream, which was still dairy. And that's where I was June 1. Now I don't drink. I'm not drinking. Well, I did over the holidays, but I'm back to no coffee again. I'm doing the Dandy blend tea, which does have the same consistency as a coffee, and it's a texture thing for me. The other thing was I realized I slept better if I did the proper food combining at dinner. So even though I was mostly putting together my own plans, if I didn't have any gluten, if I just had vegetables and a meat, I slept like a dream. You know, and then the no fruit mixed in with your vegetables and meat. I mean, they're just little food nuances. And I mean, I'd read a lot. I tried a lot of different things. And they're things that you should know, but then you don't really realize the impact they're having until you do it.
The application too.
Yeah. It's definitely. And then the reminders, like, you know, in the food app. Those reminders are great. So
good. Now, for people, because they're probably like, coffee, I can't live without coffee. Tell us a tiny bit about what that journey was for you, and was it your decision, or was that like, how did you come to that conclusion?
I wanted to get off my blood pressure medicine. I mean, I've been on blood pressure medicine for about 26 years. And I decided I wanted to get off of it. And so in looking at my journal and what I was doing, I wasn't exactly having the blood pressure results that Chris wanted to see. And so she started challenging me when it came to drinking the coffee. And then what happened was she said, can you just do every other day? Like, okay, because I'm all about the challenges. I'm kind of competitive that way. And I did, I drank my coffee Monday, I skipped Tuesday, Wednesday came and I forgot to drink my coffee. I had no headache for not drinking it. So then I sent her a message as fast as I could and said, how about I just don't drink coffee Monday through Friday and drink it Saturday and Sunday? Well, I did that. And that was cool. And then the next week I didn't drink the coffee again. But then the next Saturday, I drank my coffee and turned into the Energizer Rabbit within a matter of hours. And it was a little bit manic how the caffeine impacted me. And so I decided I was uncomfortable with that. So I only gave myself the treat at Christmas when everybody could handle my manic energy.
I remember you telling us about that, Tracy, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I mean, I wrote a book. I mean, I did a lot in that time that I was manic, and it was crazy. Yeah.
So funny. Okay, so everybody's setting new goals, right? Everybody's got all of the motivation in the world right now to go after their goals, to crush their goals. Everybody's like, 2021 is my year, right? Like last year sucked. This is my year. What advice, if someone were, let's say where you were when you started months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, what is one or two things that they could start implementing today to help them crush their goals? What would you tell them in regards to food, diet, lifestyle, that kind of thing?
I would say start by taking one thing at a time. Like, I was incredibly addicted to sugar. Like, I don't think people realize how bad of an addiction that can be. And it was bad, and I had withdrawals from it, and it was hard to not eat sugar, and I still crave sugar sometimes, so it's not out of me yet. But I would say find something. Like, so instead of eating sugar, I would eat a piece of fruit, or I would eat a handful of nuts, or so I just start small. Like, start with something that you really, really want that's not as nutritious for you, and supplement it with something that is nutritious for you to feed your body in a healthy way. And just make small baby steps if you're not ready to go all in. I got to the point where I was like, it's all or nothing, because I feel so horrible. I've got to feel better. Like, I need to feel better. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. We're jumping right in.
I love that tip. And what it makes me think of is just crowding out the bad, right? Mm-hmm. Because then it doesn't feel so overwhelming and so daunting to be like, I'm going to go sugar-free and I can never have sugar again, right? Because that would last all of like 2 days for me, and then I'd be right back on it.
Right. Well, and at first I would just be like, okay, I'm just going to have sugar Friday night when I go on date night with my husband, and so we would go, and I would get to pick where I wanted to have my sugar from, and then it got to the point where I was like, well, I really don't need it now, because it's more out of my system, mm-hmm. And so that was good.
Amazing. And Tracy, what would be your recommendation for someone?
Well, my first recommendation is always write it down. I've always got a notebook. I mean, I even brought a notebook, and I knew you were going to be asking me questions, but I wanted to write things down. Write it down. But I think I'm with Deana in that every little change is cumulative. And I mean, it just grows on to the next change. So like even just having the support group, I did not realize how important the support group and our coaching calls were to me until I was faced with not having them anymore. And then it was like, oh no, I need the support group. This is a lifelong journey. And I glean a little bit of information from every person. And everybody's journey is different. So copying somebody else's journey, you're not that person. And so you have to be true and authentic to yourself. And that's what I saw in Shannon. And then that's what I get out of this group is everybody's authentic. I mean, nobody's putting out any bull like they're perfect or anything like that. I mean, we're not. And so we're all human. And so I like that part about it. And the change of when to take your medicine, when to eat your breakfast, when to drink your coffee, if you're drinking coffee. It all added up cumulatively and all had a positive impact.
And now when somebody, okay, so just because we know what we're talking about when you say change your medication, one of the big changes for you was putting water on your bedside table with your medication. So as soon as you woke up, you took it, right?
Yes.
And that made a big impact for you. So it's these small, tiny, and hopefully everybody that's watching understands this, it's these tiny little things that compound and they make massive differences and massive changes to get you from point A, you know, further down the line to elemental P, right? So for the watchers, for the women who are on live right now, if you guys have questions for Deana and Tracy, type them in the chat. We'll give you guys just a minute because we know that there's a Facebook delay. Is there any other like parting words of wisdom that you guys have? I know you guys just shared some really big things, but is there anything else that you want to share? And we'll just kind of see if somebody has any questions.
I would say Shannon and Chris love to talk about poop. And you know what? It's actually awesome because they can tell so much about your poop that is amazing. And they're incredible ladies to be able to work with and to be able to help me through my health journey. And so I would say if you are struggling and you need support, this is definitely an amazing group that has helped me so far in my health journey, and I'm excited to hang out with them for a while longer and continue my health journey. So I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you. Tracy, is there any? Oh, go ahead.
I think everybody just needs to know that you really can't put a dollar number on your worth, and you are worth the change for your health. I just know that in my heart. And I'm not trying to sell Shannon's program or anything. I mean, it truly has been transformational. And there's no dollar amount that you can put on that.
Ditto, ditto.
Yeah, you guys are so nice to me. This is why I show up and talk to you guys, because you're just nice. All right. Okay. Jenny wants to know, she says, I'm on Thyroid for hypothyroidism. Is there anything I can do to help with the weight gain and also the pain I have, extreme body aches? So they kind of covered that at the beginning, but if you guys have anything that has helped you with the aches and pains that you would like to pass along to her, that would be great.
I haven't been on medication since I started the program. I was only on it for a short time, but I would just say definitely pay attention to the foods that you're eating. I found out that my pain was from eating sugar. If I stopped eating sugar and dairy, even the gluten a little bit would cause pain in my body, sometimes too, more stomach pain. But that sugar it was like almost pain instantly, either a headache, pain, the sugar.
Yeah. Is there anything that has helped you, Tracy, like with your back pain or anything you want to pass along for that?
I think talking to you and Chris about what I need to say when I go to the doctor. Becoming my own advocate has been very helpful. Like I said, my Thyroid has changed. I did go from a generic to the name brand. It is more costly. And then I did advocate for myself as far as medications with my doctor based on your recommendations, and it's working. I mean, it's working. I mean, I've gone down. I've only had blood work 3 times, but it's gotten better. And a sidebar of that is my A1C is going lower, and that was not even something that was originally on my radar. So.
Yeah. Well, and for everybody, A1C is also an inflammatory response inside the body, right? Which can lead to pain and inflammation. She also wants to know, has anyone experienced hot flashes from the medication? Have you guys had any symptoms like that?
Not necessarily from the medication, but from my age, I had hot flashes. I mean, it was that time for me to have hot flashes. But since I've gotten on the program, my hot flashes have decreased tremendously. Matter of fact, I use a blanket now, and I didn't used to use a blanket. So.
Well, there's another win for you, Tracy. I didn't know that.
No, I can't give out any more details, or it might be a little X-rated. So.
Oh, I love those conversations. Maybe one day we'll have a conversation around that. We'll just all embarrass ourselves even more. No, but okay, so hot flashes are really a hormonal thing, right? Not necessarily linked to thyroid specifically. It's more linked to hormonal stuff. Now, when hormones and thyroid are they're like almost one and the same, because they're created and converted and things in the liver, and both thyroid hormones and sex hormones are key players, right? So when we balance one out, the other one begins to balance out as well. All right, guys, I think that is all. Thank you, Tracy and Deana, for being here with us. I appreciate you guys. If you guys have any more questions or comments, feel free to ask them in the chat box and we will get back to them. Have a good night.